Either we stay in this tower and we fight to the death, probably ours, or we capitulate and just go become slaves to Adar and the orcs. I would say there's an option C.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go with... Now...
Run away! Is that
exactly!
It?
Hey, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We're here talking about The Rings of Power. Season 1, Episode 5. Partings. We open with Nori talking with the stranger. She mentions all the perils ahead of them, and he deduces that he's, in fact, a peril. Not apparel like a shirt. Yeah, a peril. She tells him that he's not, in fact, a peril. He's good.
I mean, maybe he's a shirt, but...
Yeah, maybe he's a shirt. You are a peril, stranger. We end with Galadriel, Halbrand, and the Numenoreans setting sail from Middle-earth to help the Southlands. Paul.
Yes.
What did you think of Episode 5?
I thought it was fine. I still like the characters. It was... There were some things that I wasn't clear about, and I watched your little reaction there, and it helped me to realize that the thing I was confused about was different than the thing that I didn't even know had happened. So that's good.
Okay, good.
All
right.
So it's like, oh, that's good to know that happened. Wasn't even aware of that, and I'm not even speaking about all the stuff that is in the lore. Just something just went right over my head.
I got you. You're talking the show itself. You're like,
yeah.
Okay, there's a lot happening.
That's true.
It's weird because in some ways this was like a setup episode. Like it was like preparations.
Sure. Yeah.
But there is still a lot. They went through all 4 storylines, so they checked in on everybody.
That's true. They did. I want to jump into it immediately. The thing that I didn't realize was going on was the whole that elf has a oath that he's keeping. I didn't realize that.
If you remember, I don't know, an episode or 2 ago, when Elrond was being spy guy and was down in the mountain in Khazad-dûm, and
sure.
He thinks he's found out the secret mine, and Durin makes him like put his hand on the stone and swear this very long oath.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I was just sort of like blah 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 blah.
Yeah, that was it. That was the
oath. Okay, I see. Okay.
So basically, in other words, Durin was saying, "I'll show you what's in this mine, but first, you have to make an oath that you are not going to reveal this information to anyone."
Okay. So when he goes to talk to the dwarf, I mean, it seems to me that he tells him everything.
I agree.
Okay.
And I feel like...
And it's funny because the way he's looking at him is sort of like, but I'm not telling you something else. And so I was like, why are you looking suspiciously if you're telling him everything? It seems like you're telling him everything, and yet you don't look like you are. Is that how he's getting around his oath? It's like, if I tell him everything but believe that I'm keeping something secret, even if I'm not keeping something secret, then that's how I keep my oath.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned in the reaction video about you can't...
Yes.
Keeping your oath isn't simply, he made me promise not to tell. That's not keeping an oath. That is basically like, I solemnly vow to do the least required of me to legally meet the obligations of this oath. I mean, if somebody were to figure out that you've got Mithril by talking to me, hey, it's on you, man. I'll do my best, but no promises.
I won't actually say the words.
Right.
But if somebody can figure it out, I won't tell him he's wrong.
I might shake my head yes while saying no, but that doesn't count, right? I mean, there's some kind of loophole in this oath, I assume. Yeah.
So that was confusing to me. It's like, why are you looking suspiciously? What are you not telling him that it seems like you're telling him? Wait, what?
Well, you almost feel like he needed to get like some different like caveats. Like, okay, what if the guys who I want to keep the secret from already kind of know about this secret? They tell me like, hey, is there Mithril? If they actively tell me, is there Mithril? I mean, can I just be like, yeah, it's fine. Or am I? Oh God, no! Is that fine? Okay.
Okay, so good. I'm glad that you don't think he kept anything from him, because I like them as friends. So I don't want the elf to be lying to the dwarf. I don't like that. I want them. I want them to fight crimes. They're
gonna fight, right? Exactly.
And the elf can be like, "Man, I'm getting too old for this shit." And
lethal weapon during the fourth. Or whatever,
that's right. Yeah.
No, based on their conversation in the woods. When Durin's like, so I'm the only one who can save the elves? Okay, that's cool. There, he does not hold Elrond responsible. I don't get the fact that he's like, you broke the oath, we're done.
Right.
So I think the show is telling us, even though a lot of info to the contrary, Elrond kept his oath. Like, all right, good on you, Elrond. You met the you met the bare minimum requirement. You got the C- of oath keeping. That's a pass. You pass.
And the other thing that was confusing was they were by the tower, and that woman's like, "Fight with me, fight against the orcs." And then that one guy's like, "Hell no! I love bowing to orcs and strange mutant elves. I don't mind that. I'll happily do that to live." So he goes off, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, okay, kill your friend, and then you'll be all right." And they cut. And I'm like, what happened?
I believe the strong implication is he did it. And they're like, all right. They just didn't want to show him killing a guy, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. They could have, or something.
Right. Oh, that's a good point. Well, because otherwise I think they would have cut to,
or cut to
a whole bunch of dead humans because the orcs just kill them all and then they move on. But they didn't. I think what we're going to see next week is, in the line of orcs approaching the tower, you're going to see humans with them. Like, hey, torches.
And I needed to see that guy at some point realize that he fucked up. That's what I needed. Yeah. I needed that. Either he gets rewarded or he at some point goes, oh shit. That's all I needed.
I think the reason that they did that is, my guess is, it's the whole thing of like, if you make a character that you don't like, do something terrible, and then you can do whatever you want to them. And so I feel like coming up, the Southlanders are going to kill the other Southlanders or something like that. They'll be like, hey, he got what he deserved. He killed his own kind. Boo, that guy. But that's the guy who another episode ago was talking about Sauron kind of in glowing terms to Theo.
Yeah, he was that guy that, yeah. I remember him. Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So, you know what? I'll say this. I appreciated the fact that the story kind of paid off what it was setting up. It was setting up the fact that, hey, there's a lot of people in this town that actually feel like maybe Morgoth wasn't so bad. And so when Bronwyn's giving her rally speech, like, all right, guys, we're going to resist this evil power. I appreciate the payoff that like half the people are like, well, actually, no, we don't think that's bad at all. So, no. Like, all right.
Yeah, I was fine with that, because I myself was thinking, I don't know if I would necessarily be convinced by her speech.
I'll say this. I'll say this. So it's being set up as an either or. Either we stay in this tower and we fight to the death, probably ours, or we capitulate and just go become slaves to Adar and the orcs. I would say there's an option C.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go with now.
Run away! Is that
exactly. Here's the deal. Now I get it. If you were just kind of trying to move a whole town and there's an army that's going to chase you, okay, you're probably going to get caught out in the open and killed. I get that. But this isn't the case. We know that the orcs have to dig tunnels to make ground. They have not even yet gotten all the way to their former town. So all you have to do is just go west of where you are.
Yeah.
Any distance. And you're going to make ground every day. There is no way the orcs can catch you.
If you're going to do that plan, Matt.
Okay.
Would you take the sword key?
I guess you take the... Oh, that's okay. I see what you're saying.
Or would you
take the sword key, you thwart their plans a bit, but you also make yourself a target.
Yeah.
Okay. I think...
So, maybe they have enough there for a bow. where they can be like, tie it up and like, here's your key, and we've decided to die. We've buried ourselves. Don't follow us.
Maybe what I need is just that one obligatory sentence of somebody going, but this is my home. Like, okay, fine. I guess that means you can't ever leave it. You're right. Even though it's swarming with orcs and you've already left your home. You've already left it. You're in a tower now, so the tower isn't your home. The thing that I think is going to happen, and I mentioned it in my reaction video based on the trailers, is they are going to flee the tower secretly and then bring the tower down onto Adar and company.
Sure. Yeah.
Which probably means that's the death of old man who killed a guy to join Adar.
Is there going to be some like scenes of them making like scarecrows to fit into the windows of the tower
That's
or
a great
something?
point.
So
I'll bet you there's going to be some kind of a decoy type of thing going on for sure. I think there will be. It'll be the Home Alone. Where you got the little cutouts in front of the. Put a torch behind it. There we go. Yeah, because Elrondir he's the one that sets off the trap once all the orcs are in the tower. So he's obviously there. So he'll be the one manning all of the 2D cutouts. Obviously, the big talking point this week amongst the Tolkien lore folks.
Yes.
Is this thing they call it the Song of the Roots of Hithyglir.
Yes.
That is completely made up by the show.
Yep.
The name is not. Hithyglir is the Elven name for the Misty Mountains. It basically means Misty Mountains. So appropriate name. So the legend as it's put out by the show.
Yes.
Is there's a pure-hearted elven warrior fought a Balrog to protect a tree in the Misty Mountains said to contain one of the lost Silmarils. Lightning struck the tree at this pivotal moment, and the roots of the tree turned to Mithril. Gil-galad calls it like a power as pure. What do you say? A power as pure and light as good, as strong and unyielding as evil. So there is no version of the lore in which this could be true.
Sure.
I'll just cut to. Here's a quick. I'm not going to dwell on this. I'm going to well, here's the 5 reasons why. I'm like, okay, no. But here's a quick quote from the Silmarillion that tells us what happened to the 3 Silmarils. So there are 3 Silmaril gems, the most powerful items in Tolkien's mythology, and he tells us very succinctly what happened to them.
Sure.
So he says, and thus it came to pass that the Silmarils found their long homes, one in the airs of heaven, one in the fires of the heart of the world, and one in the deep waters. And so the one in the heavens is on Elrond's dad's boat. We talked about that last week.
Sure.
That's it. That's the Silmaril in the heavens. The one in the deep waters was thrown there by Feanor's son Maglor. And the one in the fires of the heart of the world got there when Maedhros, another son of Feanor, jumped into a volcano holding the stone. And none of those stones got hung up on a tree. And that's where they ended up in these various locations. I'll say this. The elves at that point might not have known what happened to those 2 Silmarils. Perhaps they call them the Lost Silmarils because they were stolen. Mm-hmm. And maybe at that point they don't know what happened to them. So maybe they might have actually come up with a story. Hey, I don't know. Maybe it got stuck in this tree and made Mithril. So basically the question again is this new lore for the show, or is this a deception by Sauron, as I've heard from some folks are like, well, maybe this is like a long con from Sauron. Now, it seems like Elrond and Gil-galad have known about this legend for a long time, right? It's like, say the legend again. And there is, in fact, a substance that's exactly as advertised in the mountain. So Sauron would have needed to plant this legend sometime shortly after the First Age, let it percolate for hundreds of years, way before Mithril is even found, then give Gil-galad's trees blight, making him think, oh yeah, we'll all be dead by spring. I mean, is it possible that an all-powerful, all-knowing villain could do that? I suppose, but I think it's a much more likely premise that this is the show logic. This is what this story is true per the show, is my thought.
Okay, cool.
And so the elves are going to use Mithril to simulate the light of the trees of Valinor. That's the idea that the show is going on.
Okay.
I'll point this out. It's kind of funny. So, Elrond comes clean with Durin. He's telling him, hey, here's the deal. We the elves are now fading. And that's a thing, right? I talked about that in my reaction videos.
Sure.
Marin and Arda, the elves fade over a long period of time. But so he's like, so we're fading. So basically what he's telling Durin is like, hey, we thought we were immortal, but turns out we're probably going to die in a few thousand years. And so it'd just be funny if Durin's like, yeah, okay, so like, you're still going to live like exponentially longer than me? Okay. Well, I'm sorry for you. Oh, wow, that's terrible. Like maybe a reaction might be, I don't know, deal with it? Like, maybe just live your lives. I don't know. You still got like 4,000 years. I think you'll be okay. But no, it's a terrible crisis that needs to be resolved. So yeah. Anyway, the show is putting a ticking clock on this thing. I'm like, okay, wait. The elves are in trouble, and it's not like a trouble that's thousands of years from now. It's like this spring.
Now here's something else that was strange to me. Queen Muriel is like, hey, I've got this plan. I'm going to work with the elves, and she's telling her pops this, her father. And then he's like, you must not do this.
Right.
Because doom awaits you if you leave. Now, doom awaits her if she stays. I mean...
Right. No, but I would much rather you die in a flood than to be shot with an arrow. No, but
remember when you were but a child and you told me you'd rather drown than be killed?
Well, that's what I'm going on.
Yeah, trust me, you would prefer this.
They remember they've got the ultimate, little thermometer on whether or not they should do something. So I feel like Muriel should get on the boat.
Yes.
They set off and then they look back. Is the tree shedding? Oh, it's okay. Never mind. I shouldn't go. I shouldn't go. I'm gonna listen to my dad. Back up. It feels like he's saying you going is going to set in motion the events that are going to lead to the flood. But which I predicted earlier that I think it's going to lead to Pharazôn taking power in her absence, which is probably what he's talking about. With Pharazôn in power, that'll lead to bad times ahead.
Wait, so that is what leads to it? That's what leads to a flood?
Pharazôn's kingship leads to the flood, yes.
I don't know about, so he could have averted, he could have done something to keep the flood from happening?
He being Pharazôn?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah. It's what he does that brings the flood about.
Oh, okay. I just thought of some natural disaster that wasn't, that you should just leave.
No.
So they could have done something. Wow, he's really a bad king then.
It's an act of God, if you want to say natural.
Well, all of the people watching this know. So
that's true. They do. There's something called the Ban of the Valar. We'll talk about it in another video. But the Ban of the Valar is something that chafes against the Numenoreans. And he decides, screw it. Screw this Valar and their ban. And by doing that, he brings about the sinking of his own island. I think that's what inevitably Tar Palantir, Muriel's dad, is talking about. You leave, you create a power vacuum. That vacuum's going to get filled by Pharazôn. And bad things will happen. I was a little confused talking about Pharazôn with the actions of his son. So Kemen.
Yes.
Right? So Kemen's like, hey, this is bad. My dad hates the elves.
Yeah.
Why are we going to go help, using elves and listen to them to go help? And so he then has this talk with his dad.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty cool talk, actually. The dad's like, look, this is perfect for us. What are you talking about? They're going to be beholden to us, and then we've got ourselves like a little colony in Middle-earth. Perfect. We'll take it.
Yeah.
And so it's after that, and there's no intervening. We don't see Kemen again until we see Kemen setting fire to the ship.
Yes.
So I'm like, your dad told you this is a good thing. What is it about this that made you go, no, we should blow up the ships and keep them from sailing? Did we miss a scene? Was there something cut out?
Well, what came before that though was that girl who was like, "You should talk louder, talk louder." I think they did establish that he doesn't want war, and his father is fine with war, so he's sort of like, that's the impression I got anyway.
Good point. They talk louder. In other words, I'll talk louder by setting fire to the ship. And then I'll just countermand my dad's orders. Basically.
I will talk louder to my dad. I'm not going to be convinced by what my dad says because he's just wrong. Yep. And so, you still want to do this? Okay.
Excellent assessment, good sir, of the motivations there.
Who'd have thunk it?
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I don't even know these people's names.
Well, Kemen, yet another character made up for the show, so he was completely.
And I thought they were being really nice to Kemen to let his ass live.
Right. Right. So they've also created this little bond with Isildur, where they're both lying for each other, basically, I guess.
Yeah.
Like Isildur was a stowaway.
Kemen's not happy about it either.
But I think Kemen has stayed and Isildur has left. So at least for probably the remainder of the season, the two of them aren't going to be in the same place, I would guess.
Oh, good.
So, a few Easter eggs. I already mentioned the Grey Marshes. Those are the Dead Marshes from Lord of the Rings. Very notable location. We see the kind of conveniently carved statue that's got look, it's the helmet and then the sword and then a sacrifice, and it's meaningful. The helmet looks a lot like Peter Jackson's Sauron helmet. So I think the idea is Sauron, sword, and so my theory is still that somehow that involves the eruption of Mount Doom. We see on the boat, as the Numenoreans are sailing away at the very end of the episode, they have on there the green bough of return. Oh. It's a little branch that placed on the prow of all the Numenorean ships for good luck, basically. So it's a standard practice, and the green bough of return is a thing. So I appreciated that they gave a nod to that. And of course, there's the "Not all who wander are lost" in the song that the Harfoots are singing. That is from Bilbo's poem in Fellowship of the Ring. It's a reference to Aragorn. And it might sound familiar, Paul, because it's also a reference to, this came up recently in talking about a different show, Strange New Worlds. There was episode 9, the title, All Those Who Wander. Oh. It was a Lord of the Rings reference. I brought up at the time. And so, yeah, there you know. It's all connected.
You know what? That may have come into my head.
Yeah, I know. You would probably try to forget it as quickly as possible.
You're right. I was like,
but it's back.
No!
It's back. So there's a tie-in.
I was like, why are they making a Star Trek reference in Lord of the Rings? I was like,
that's great. Huh, weird. Where's Captain Pike? I don't even see him. This myth that they've had now for Mithril, so to speak. And you know what? I think a lot depends on what the actual rights are for this show. And I feel like somewhere there is probably a robust legal team that's got like a giant spreadsheet of like names and places they can and can't refer to. You're like, okay, Feanor. Okay, it's referenced in the Lord of the Rings. We can say that. Oh, but his son Mithras. It's not okay. We can't say that. Don't reference that. Like, there's like, I would assume every script has to go through like a contract attorney's, fine tooth comb to be like, yep, nope, yep.
Right.
And so that makes me think that maybe part of why they're coming up with some of these odd. Yeah. Seemingly unnecessary myths is like, look, we got to get around the story that we can't tell. And so we talk about these books, and there's so many names and places and everything. So I thought maybe I would just throw out, like, I was trying to think of the rights issues in a simpler context. Mm-hmm. So imagine Amazon goes to, I don't know, we'll say the Grimm's Brothers estate. That's probably not true, but whatever. Yes. So the Grimm's Brothers, they're like, we want the rights to Snow White because we want to do a series about Snow White. It's gonna be awesome.
Yes.
And the Grimm estate is like, nope, sorry, we're not going to sell you that. But the witch in Snow White is referenced in Hansel and Gretel.
Sure.
So if you want to buy that, and then, so Amazon's like, great, we'll buy Hansel and Gretel. Oh, so you're going to do a series about Hansel and Gretel? No, we're going to do the show that we wanted to do about Snow White, but now we've got rights to the witch. And so then, the Grimm's estate would be like, well, you can't mention the dwarves. Right. And you can't mention the apple. Got it. You can't mention the huntsman. And we will sue you if you do. Yep, got it. All right, cool. And sale made. Anyway.
I can imagine after that deal is closed, it's like, it's a good thing we're not fans.
Yeah.
That was easy to make that deal. Yeah, I'm hoping that the stranger is not this unfamiliar with anything for too much longer.
Okay.
Oh, death. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm good. Oh, it's like, oh, that's okay, I guess. And, but yeah, I can understand how Nori doesn't understand this guy's powers. He doesn't know how it works.
Right.
So she touches him and he's really cold. And so she gets cold and he didn't tell her to touch her.
Correct. Right. It is not an
him.
intentional act. He is not. I don't even think he sees her. I think he's like concentrating.
Right.
And so she's like, what? So she gets scared, but I don't think he was being hostile toward her.
Right. No. Yeah. So, it makes sense that she would get scared and run away. But, sort of like, you did this to yourself. You don't know what he was doing was bad. So, it was actually good. You didn't even get hurt. So, you better not be mad at him, is all I got to say, I guess.
I agree.
If you're afraid after telling him he was good, you were.
Yeah, I feel like the show is just trying to do the whole, like, make us keep guessing.
Yeah.
But I think the very fact that you've had Nori say that he's good, and also she's commented that it's like, oh, I feel destined to, like, this guy is important.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all of those, putting that in her mouth to say those lines, to me means he is not a bad character.
Yeah.
I don't think you could then turn around and be like, she was an idiot. They're not going to go that way. So I feel like maybe one possible storyline is those 3 sinister priests. Maybe they attempted to summon him in some way, and he was supposed to be evil. But he didn't go with the evil priest. He went with the Harfoots, and so he is by nature nurture thing. He's like learned to be like a caring, helpful individual.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the route that he's taking. But you're right. It's kind of like, okay, let's speed up this. Ooh, is he or isn't he thing? Okay.
Well, I just want him to not be dumb anymore. That's all. I don't.
I got you. Yeah. Right.
And
Peril.
Also, yeah.
Good.
I also got a question about Halbrand.
Okay.
I
sure.
feel like if Halbrand, after all this, don't make me king. I don't want to be king. Okay, now I'm Sauron. It's like, I feel like Sauron would be like, oh, great, make me king. I don't know.
It's a good point.
Seems like another, like, wow, it's all your fault. You're Galadriel. You're the one who made him, king. He didn't want to be king, and you're the one who did it.
I agree. So it was great. One of the commenters, Mark Osborne, came up with a great term of art.
Thank you, Mark.
The Sauronometer.
Ah.
So on the Sauronometer, last week I had Halbrand at maybe like 80% that he was Sauron.
Yeah.
But you're right. After those comments this week and the fact that he was like crying and talking about all the terrible things he had to do to survive.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, maybe. So I
went
went
wow,
back.
they're really making him nuanced.
Right, exactly. So I pulled back. I think I'm more of I think it's still more than 50%. I'm going to go with 61% chance on the Sauronometer that Halbrand is Sauron. And I'll throw in this because
we got to make you like a little graph.
Okay, great. You just came up with more stuff I have to do. But yeah, okay. Maybe.
Hey, I'll do that.
Oh, great. But the other theory that's come about now after seeing this depiction of Gil-galad is that maybe Gil-galad is Sauron. And so that is a much less chance, I think. But I'm going to go with 18% on the Sauronometer that it's Gil-galad. But again, 61% that it's Halbrand. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Mark, for giving me more work to do. We'll be back talking about House of the Dragon and She-Hulk and Rings of Power Episode 6. So come on back for all that. Thanks as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
Sure, no problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.